Director, and Dr. Babatunde Ajibade, SAN. As you can see from the pictures, they haven't changed much. Perhaps Mr. Yo has a beard, it's the only thing. We regret that they are not present, but in view of the circumstances, it's quite understandable. The chairman of the Audit Committee and a shareholder representative on the Audit Committee, Chief Adekunle Odesanya, is here representing other members of the committee. He is also one of the proxies for this meeting. To his left, so to speak, is Mr. Peter Yanaku, who is also one of the proxies for the meeting. The firm of PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, acted as our independent auditor. The firm is represented here physically by Mr. Adafe Erire, who is also a familiar face. We also have in our midst, I'm told, the representative of the Security and Exchange Commission, the SEC, Hajia Amira Tanko. Do we have her here? Or possibly online? And they informed us that they would be observing the proceedings via a live broadcast. So I think she is probably virtual as well. We have already seen and acknowledged the presence of Mr. Anne Mutua of GTL Registrar and Data Services Limited. We welcome them as well. The other proxies appointed for this meeting are Mazi Sam Pamugo, who said the opening prayer, a minority shareholder, and Mr. Peter Iyanaku, who we've already met, a member of the Audit Committee. Now, please be... I'd like to deem it as read, but I'm of course prepared to read it in full. Thank you. I would now like to call on the Company Secretary to read the notice of the meeting. Mr. Kunle Fulltime.
Company special company due to the COVID-19 fiscal distancing and a limit on the maximum number of persons shareholder attendance at the annual general meeting shall be by proxy in accordance with the Corporate Affairs Commission's guideline on holding annual general meeting of the public companies using proxies. A shareholder entitled to attend and vote at the meeting can appoint a proxy to attend and vote in or abstain. The proxies needs not be a shareholder. Consequently, members are required to appoint a proxy of their choice from the following proxies to represent them at the meeting. A. Mr. Laika Kikube, Chairman and Independent Non-Executive Directors. B, Mr. Ferdinand Moko, Managing Director. C, Dr. Babatunde Ajibade, SAN, Independent Non-Executive Director. D, Mr. Adekunle Odesia, Shareholder Representative. E, Mr. Peter Yanoko, Shareholder Representative. F, Mr. Sam Mpamugo, Shareholder Representative. A member of the company is entitled to attend and vote, to appoint a proxy to attend and vote instead of him or her. For the appointment to be valid for the purpose of this meeting, the duly completed proxy forms must be deposited at the office of the registrar, Greenwich Registrars and Data Services Solutions Limited, 247 Muitala Mamadu Alagomeji Yaba, Lagos, or sent by email to proxy@gistregistrar.com, not later than 48 hours to the meeting. A blank proxy form is included in the 2020 annual report and account, which will also be available on the company's website, www.farmic.com, and that of the registrar, www.gistregistrars.com. The company has made arrangements at its own cost for stamp duty to be paid on the proxy forms. Closure of registers of members. The register of members and transfer books will be closed from the 8th to the 15th of July 2020, both days inclusive, for the purpose of auditing the register of members. Audit Committee. In accordance with Section 446, subsection 6 of the Company Act 2020, any member may nominate a shareholder for election as a member of the Audit Committee in writing, which should reach the Company Secretary not later than 21 days before the date of the annual general meeting. The Securities and Exchange Commission's Code of Corporate Governance for Public Companies and Allied Matters Mark 2020 stipulates that a member of the Audit Committee should have basic financial literacy and should be able to read financial statements, and at least one member of the Audit Professional Accounting Body in Nigeria, established by the Act of the National Assembly. We therefore request that nominations be accompanied by a copy of the nominee's curriculum vitae. Electronic version of annual reports and accounts. The electronic versions of the 2020 annual reports and accounts is accessible on the company website and also circulated by email to all shareholders who have provided their email addresses in the shareholders registers. Shareholders who are interested in receiving electronic copies of 2020 reports by email sent to request@info@gtregistrars.com. Live streaming. Live streaming of the annual general meeting. The annual general meeting will be streamed live and a link will be provided on the company website subsequently for this purpose. This will enable shareholders and other relevant stakeholders who would not be able attending the meeting physically to be able to be part of the proceedings. Right of security holders. Shareholders have a right to ask questions not only at the meeting but also in writing prior to the meeting, and such written questions should be submitted back to the company secretary on or before July 15, 2021 by order of the board. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Olusanya. As you can see, we have a very full agenda for the meeting today. Item 1 on the agenda is to lay before the meeting the report of the directors and the statement of financial position as at the 31st of December 2020, together with the income statement for the year ended on that date, and the reports of the independent auditor and the audit committee thereon. I hereby lay before you the director's report and statement of financial position as at 31st of December 2020, together with the income statement for the year ended on that date and the reports of the independent auditor and the audit committee. There are questions or comments on the report and accounts. I will call on the independent auditor and the audit committee to present their respective reports. We have Mr. Edafe Erire, a partner in the firm of PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, to present the independent auditor's report. He is also representing Mr. Yinka Yusuf, who might have been here if not for other exigencies. So we're thankful to Mr. Edafe Erire, who is very familiar with the business of the company. Thank you, Edafe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, distinguished shareholders, Board of Directors. My name again is Edafe Erire, representing PricewaterhouseCoopers. With your permission, I'll read an abridged version of the report, first 2 paragraphs and the last, if that's fine with the shareholders. Thank you, sir. Our report is on page 22 to 24 of the annual report you have with you. Report on the audit of the financial statements. Our opinion. In our opinion, Milk Plc, the company financial statement, give a true and fair view of the financial position of the company as at 31st December 2020 and of its financial performance and its cash flow for the year then ended in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standard and the requirement of the company's
findings and recommendations on management matters. We are satisfied with management response thereon, dated this 27th May 2020, and signed by my able self, Odesonya Adekunle. And I will hereby read the names of also the members. And please, as I do so, I plead that you will be upstanding and take a bow. 1, Mr. Peter Eyanako. Thank you very much for your efforts. Mr. Oliver Clay, well, is here. Thank you. Then Dr. Babatunde A.N. Ajibade San. And my able self, Odesonya Adekunle. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Odesonya. Now, in this generation, 2020 was perhaps the only time, hopefully, that we will ever experience a worldwide pandemic. But my colleagues and I will be pleased to answer any question which you may have on the report agenda. Anybody who has follow-up questions and comments can also send to the email address of the registrar, which is just info@gtlregistrars.com. Repeat, info@gtlregistrars.com. There are a few members in the room. I don't know if we will have any questions coming from online, but can I just ask if there are any questions or comments from the room? Mazi Sam.
Okay. Able chairman of the board and other members of the board of Milk Plc, fellow shareholders, it is always a thing of delight to me to be in the AGM of Milk. Perhaps that shows the passion I have for this company. The interest is indeed great. And going through the chairman's reports, though not fully read here, it shows that this company is in the track of profitability. The indices is giving hope to us, the investors. Round of applause to It is always good when a company is performing. Those in the management team, as well as the directors, who can raise their head up. Not a situation when you come to the AGM, they bend their face down because of what? Poor performances. From the indices I gathered here, though I did not have the percentage, last year we made a turnover of 13, that is page 16. We made a turnover of 13.47 billion as against this year, this current year under review, 14.95, almost 15 billion. Now, profits for the year, we have about 896.26 million against the one of this year. This year, of course, we have 953.8 million. That is on the upper side. The one of last year was that is profit after tax. We have here 461.78 as at the other year, but the year under review we are having 710.7. In fact, we are pleased. This is something that can make even the management feel happy, and the shareholders too. Now, going by this, we have EPS of 45 kobo. I don't know why you people did not declare dividends, because the beauty of investment is return, and it is when this dividend is being declared that is shareholders can go home happy, smiling to the bank. So I don't know whether you people are looking forward to declare when it will be naira dividends and not kobo dividends. We look forward to that, but we encourage you to declare dividends very soon. Now, in the same page 16, don't forget that we of the farm milk company, we are the major player in this industry. There is no other. And we have good reason to make profit. It is true that the pandemic is ravaging the entire globe. But people want to take something that can add flesh in their body. And going by your pictures here, okay, in page 6, now one can see that all of you, their faces are shining. That shows you are, you are making use of our products. And we, even the directors, in fact, the faces are glittering. We know that this is a part of advertisement too, for those who have not started making use of our products to embark on it. So I will ask that we continue the upward side of this profit making, because that is the only way we can put a smile to the shareholder or the stakeholders of this company. Well, let me especially thank the managing director, because since you assume position here, Mr. Ferdinand Moku, in fact, this company is giving hope for all the stakeholders. You know, before when we come to the AGM, we frown, because it's always red. But now, the company have turned to profitability, nothing like red again. Please round of applause to this my young man. In our local palace, we say, somebody, when you tell a man, keep on, that shows that that person is on the right track. So we ask you to keep on, because you're on the right track. Now, our able finance director, Titus Oye, we thank you too, because there is no loophole for the money to be going where it's not supposed to be. Then, what do I say about our chairman? All of you have indeed performed wonderfully well in these results. It is not like a pieces of paper. It is something that's worth even keeping in my shelf and other people, other stakeholders' shelf, in that it is a document of hope, that there are hope in this company. Without taking much of our time, which I have already taken to, I say kudos to all of you. Thank you, my able secretary, because you have been doing wonderfully well since you assumed this position. All of you, even the directors that are not here, we extend our warm greeting to all of you. Thank you, and God bless. I didn't know whether I mentioned my name.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, maybe I should take another question, since there are likely to be only two before. Just the name for putting to record. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Mr. Chairman, entire board ambient of Milk Plc. My name is Jinodu Mustafa Ishola, a fellow of Institute of Directors. It's unfortunate that I just got this report here. I'm unable to go through it, but I will just try and manage. The first one is on page 14. That is the chairman's statement. I'm worried. My concern is the other action affecting Nigerian business regarding the foreign exchange. I want to know, because with what is going on in this country now regarding the foreign exchange, how do you manage to cope in getting your foreign exchange? Because the approval is one side. You know, before you get the approval, I know the rate must have increased, and you need to lobby. I'm speaking from experience, because I'm in an audit committee of a company that they sell their products here, and before they get the exchange, everything, and they sell to banks. It's really difficult. It's not easy to get the exchange. So I want to know how you manage to cope in getting your exchange, because you have already stated it here that from $360 to $410. I can understand. But that's not the end. I know that you may even go further. That's on page 14. On page 43, that is the borrowing. So that is the bank borrowing. I'm a little bit worried about the increase in borrowing from bank, because 2019, that is 294,085, and increased to 502,087 million. So I'm not comfortable. about the bank borrowing. That is on page 43. On page 59. Yes, we have another exchange losses. I think, like what I just said from the beginning, the exchange losses from 29 million to 114. I think that is too much. The management have to look into that and see what they can do to reduce that. I'm not comfortable about that. Finally, I don't know, I may be right, I may be wrong, because I'm a little bit in haste trying to scrutinize this document. I believe the corporate governance, that's why I said it, that I may be wrong, I may be right, it may be here, it may not be, but assuming that it's not here, I think it's better to let us have the number of time, I mean the number, yes, of time for a meeting, audit committee, board committee, and so on. I can't continue naming. You understand me? I mean, so it's very, very necessary that we have number of time the meeting was held. You understand me? So that we can know who and who is performing among the directors. Because if we have some director that they are not been attending the meeting regularly, I don't think they deserve to be on the board. So the same thing with other committee and even audit committee also. Thank you very much. Once again, Jinadu Mustafa is my name. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jinadu. Perhaps we should take those two questions. I don't know if we're going to have any more. But if I start off with Martin Sam, thank you very much for your comments. They were largely comments. And if I may respond, first of all, to the issue of dividend. Now, I always like to think that Dr. Ajibade and I, in particular, although that's the responsibility of the whole board, look out for the interests of the minority shareholder, not just the majority shareholder. And dividend is a legitimate question to ask if you have made an investment and you're expecting a return. This company is growing, but in order for it to grow, it's still requiring a lot of investment, both from our foreign partners and, of course, from the local financial industry. This year, we could not have anticipated what happened in 2020. It is remarkable, and I think the management is to be congratulated, that we have not only survived, we've actually done pretty well in terms of continuing to make our products available to the market. We're lucky, we're a food processing company, and the government made allowances for us to be operational. But if the management is to be commended for having been able to respond very well and ensure that the company continued to perform. We also have had a challenge from the Central Bank of Nigeria, a legitimate challenge that they threw out to milk, especially companies that were processing milk, and that was that they wanted them to go into backward integration into farming effectively to support the businesses in the country. Now, that was not planned for. It wasn't anticipated. We had to respond to it, and the only way we could respond was to go to our majority shareholder, our partner abroad, and say that we had a problem that we had to solve. A particularly difficult problem because we were restricted. We're currently still restricted in our milk importation to be able to produce our products, which gives us some concern because of business continuity and the sort of dependence we have on milk. Now, that's just a highlight of the unexpected events. But on the plus side, we have had a great deal of support from offshore. And I'm going to ask our MD, Ferdinand Moko, to give you an idea of the kind of support we have received. Now, I'm doing so to put a context behind the lack of a dividend this year. It is my hope, as you have said, Mazi, that going forward, we will be able to reward, as it were, the legitimate reward of investors with some dividend. You know, the majority shareholders are wishing for a dividend as well. They're not just investing in Nigeria to keep Nigerians happy. And if they can't pay a dividend to themselves and they can't pay a dividend to you, then we're all very anxious. But so far, the trajectory is good. We look forward to being able to being a dividend-paying company. But Ferdinand, please, just to highlight some of the challenges and investments we're making.
Thank you. I hope you can
take this one.
Hello. So thank you. So first, thanks for your very valid point. And as the chairman was sharing, 2020 were really a challenging year for Fan Milk Nigeria, not only because of COVID pandemic that we did not mention. As you know, 70% of our business is an outdoor business, and with the lockdown, it was really challenging for us, mainly during the second and third quarter of last year. But thanks to the fantastic commitment of the leadership team, we have been able to still, as you rightly mentioned, done a growth of 10%. But unfortunately, that is not translated, you know, on our bottom line because of all the challenges that the chairman were rightly mentioning, like the milk ban. To give you maybe more detail on the milk ban, it's just that today, all the purchase of the milk that we are doing, we are doing the purchase of the milk through the authorized company, which is a total different model of what we were doing before. Before we were buying our milk directly, but now because we need to invest in the dairy farm, and we have started this investment. This is why the chairman were talking about the huge investment that we are currently doing in Odeda in Ogun State, in our farm. All these, yes, Odeda, thank you, Odeda in Ogun State. So thanks to, you know, all these investment that we are doing to keep, you know, the company at the right level. This is what can explain this, and we got huge support in terms of finance, in terms of funding from the group, you know, to make all these investments. So I'll maybe stop here, and so that we can also go through the question of the second one.
Thank you, Ferdinand. And Mr. Mustafa Shola Jinodu, a very staunch supporter of the company, he had 4 questions, actually. First of all, on foreign exchange, how are we getting it? On bank borrowings and your concern about the level of borrowing we're doing. On the exchange losses as presented in the accounts, and then on the meetings of directors. Let me start from the 4th question. It's an easy one to dispose of. All your directors have been attending meetings. The register is at this meeting, as we mentioned earlier. It can be examined. And it's a byproduct of the COVID era that a lot of meetings have taken place virtually, which in a strange way has in fact, ensured more attendance than might otherwise have been the case if we had to juggle around physical attendance. So you can be sure that we're all focused on the job that you have given us to do. And outside board meetings, we have also been involved with management, advising, especially on things like the backward integration plan. And we've met, advised, followed them around to achieve those things. And the audit committee, the same. I'm going to get Mr. Olusonya to respond to the register question. Kunle.
Thank you, Chairman. So for the register of attendance of audit committee and directors meeting, we have the register here. We can show you after the meeting so you can look at it. But in terms of registration, so let me respond to you to that. Moving forward, I'm going to put it in the annual report to show those that attended to confirm what you just said. Thank you.
My apologies. I didn't know your reference was specifically to what was included in the annual report and accounts. My apologies for that. But are you happy with the answer given? And the other questions, well, those are very germane questions. Ordinarily, I would say the MD would be happy to answer it. But we do have a finance director with us, and he's very, very eager to show you that, that he's on top of the subject. So, Titus, please.
Thank you, Chairman.
Foreign exchange, how we're getting it, bank borrowing, why are we at the levels we are, and exchange losses, how are we handling that?
Okay, Alaji, it's as you know, on the aspect of foreign exchange, we have to scout through the FX market as much as possible from as what we can get from CBN and what we can get from export proceeds. That's where we get the little we can get. But I would tell you that the support we have from our parent company is massive in terms of we being able to import on bills for collection instruments. So that reduced our having to chase for foreign exchange without disrupting our operations. On the aspect of the impact of the exchange losses, you will notice that that is included in our material cost. The one they are referring to is the devaluation that made foreign payables in our hands. And this is what is happening as the CBN keeps devaluing the exchange rate. Within last year, we had about 16% devaluation from the start of the year to the end of the year. Then on the point of borrowing, yes, indeed, we had to borrow to support the operations also locally. I can say that one of the strategies that we adopted was to localize a lot of our imports, what we used to, and what that meant was that we will have to borrow local fundings to be able to support that. But to mitigate the impact of the borrowing on our finance charges, you would notice that our finance costs reduced by more than 35% versus the 2019, even though the borrowing increased in between 2019 and 2018. What we did was to improve on our working capital utilization, as well as negotiate more with our with our banks to reduce the interest rates. And so what I'm saying is the borrowing increased, but the finance charges impact reduced by 35%. Yeah, I hope I've answered all the questions. Yeah.
Thank you very much. As you can see, Mr. Jinodu, we have a very capable finance director and is doing his job. I don't believe there are any other questions, comments in the room. online, do we have any questions? Thank you very much. Well, once again, I'd like to thank our shareholders, ever supportive with their comments and questions, and it's always a matter of pride that the questions and comments are very germane and show that they continue to have interest in the activities of the company and its progress. I'm very, very grateful. Thank you. We now move on to other items on the agenda. In the view of the nature of this meeting and to ensure that voting wishes of the shareholders as contained in the proxy forms are captured, under section 248, subsection 1A of CAMA and article 71, I think, 71 of the Articles of Association, I hereby declare the voting at this meeting shall be by poll, except for the item on the agenda relating to election of members of the Audit Committee. Please note that only ordinary resolutions are required for all the items. That is, a simple majority of the votes would suffice for each resolution. The next item on our agenda this morning is to re-elect directors. You would have seen from the report of the directors that 2 directors are due for re-election in line with Article 97 of the Articles of Association. They are Mr. Oyo State and Mr. Eleyele Ibadan. I've got it in my own. Please hold on. My documentation isn't quite as accurate as it should be. No, sorry. Okay. Where is it? Well, having dealt with the accounts, we would like to lay it to the meeting and ask that someone move the motion to adopt the accounts for the last year. Thank you, Mr. Mustafa Jinodu. And thank you for reminding us that we had skipped through that. Is there any seconder? Mazi Pamugu. Thank you very much. Thank you. My apologies for skipping over that part. After doing all the hard work, it would have been regrettable if we hadn't actually adopted it properly. So coming back to the re-election of directors, Mr. Oyo State and Eleyele Ibadan are both eligible. They've both performed as directors. They're up for re-election. We can either take each individual as a vote or by single resolution, if that's okay.
Since it is 2 persons, there are 2 directors. If we take single resolution, it will probably go the same way. But if you take it one, it's more straight.
Well, I have absolutely no objection to it. We do have time and motion to the meeting. And I hereby direct that the votes be taken forthwith by the use of voting device. I don't think we have one, but if we do, okay. Yes, thank you. The independent auditor will act as a scrutineer, and I will call on the registrar to conduct the voting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have voting devices for some of the selected proxies who are eligible to vote, and they have been issued same accordingly. We'll just run through the instructions briefly so we'd understand how we would use them. I think we're waiting for the technical team to connect us. Can we have the instructions up? Okay, so an electronic device was issued to those of you who are eligible to vote here. That's nominated proxies. The device has been activated and is ready for use. A resolution will be announced and voting for the resolution will commence after the announcement. We've had that already. On the voting part, 1 represents yes if you're voting for the resolution, 2 represents no if you're voting against, and 3 represents abstain if you're abstaining from it. There's a countdown for each voting session, and that's 30 seconds. This will be displayed on the board, and the session ends after that count of 30 seconds. It would indicate the unit holding on the results slide and both shareholding percentage, that's the units of shares that have voted, and in terms of the units that have voted as well. So we can now take the vote. You vote when the count begins of 30 seconds. Shall we have the timer up, please? Okay, you may now vote. Okay, that's fine. You need not put a hold press for too long. Once the green indicator comes up, you're voting. Yes, thank you. Okay, so for the resolution to re-elect Mr. Yo Zobutel as a director retiring by rotation, we have 100% in favor of the votes. We have 100%. And then in unit holding, in the units, has it gone off? Okay. We expect that all the units registered at the count at the beginning of the meeting would have voted, and since we have 100%, we should have 1,155,692,544 units of shares voting in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our registrars. Sometimes I think a show of hands would actually suffice, but then we have to move with the times. The second director seeking re-election is Mr. Eleyele Klein. I hereby move that Mr. Eleyele Klein be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. Would someone please rise and second this motion? Mr. Mustafa Jinodu. Thank you very much, sir. Is there any question before the motion is put to the meeting? Thank you. I now put the motion to the meeting, and I hereby direct that the votes be taken forthwith by the use of the voting device given to you. The independent auditor will act as a scrutineer, and I invite the registrar once again to conduct the voting.
We're ready to vote, please. Can we take the count at 0 at 30 seconds, please? Can you start from 30 seconds? Okay. Shall we proceed to vote now? Technical team, can we vote? I think they have a connection problem. Can you indicate to me when we're ready to vote, please? Okay, we can vote now, please. On the resolution to elect Mr. Olivier Klein as the director, we have 100% votes in favor of the resolution. In unit shareholding, 1,155,692,544 units have voted for this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our registrars. Ladies and gentlemen, based on the results as verified by the independent auditor, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. Thank you very much. Now you all see why electronic transmission of voting is a challenge in the country. The next item on the agenda is to appoint the external auditor of the company. A reading of the section 4.1 of CAMA and the clause 20 of Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance 2018 recommended as a matter of practice to retain external auditors for no longer than 10 years continuously. PwC have been our auditors for the last 10 years, and they have done a wonderful job. We'd like to, on this occasion, thank them for their services to the country. We perhaps look forward to seeing them again in another 10 years. I hereby move that the firm of Messrs. Mazars be appointed as the external auditors of the company in place of Messrs. PricewaterhouseCoopers, who are retiring as the company's auditors. Will someone please rise and second the motion?
Mr. Chairman, before I second the motion, I want to know if this organization, the company you mentioned now, is an international organization. Because our company is a multinational company, and we don't want to bring any, company.
Mazi is keeping a very close watch, and is quite right to ask the question about the background of Messrs. Mazars. I think it's appropriate to ask Mr. Titus Oyo to give us the background. I know that Mazars Offshore has an association with our parent company, Danone, in many countries, and they also are fully represented in Nigeria. But Titus, just a quick word.
Mr. Ohabia.
Thank you, Mr. Ohabia. Second. Thank you very much, Mazi. I assure Mr. Ohabia that we won't add too many gray hairs to him over the next 10 years if he's with us. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. I now put the motion to the meeting. I direct that the votes be taken with the voting device. I'm sure we've now perfected it, and I invite the registrar to conduct the voting.
have the timer up? Okay. You may now vote, please. On the resolution to appoint the external auditors for the company, we have 100% votes in favor of the resolution. By the registered shareholding, 1,155,692,544 units of shares have voted for the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our registrars. Ladies and gentlemen, based on the results presented by the registrar, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried and Messrs. Mazars are our new independent auditors. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the independent auditor. Section 408, subsection 1B of CAMA requires that the remuneration be fixed by the company in general meeting or in such a manner as the company in general meeting may determine. I accordingly move that the directors be and they are hereby authorized to fix the remuneration of the independent auditor for the year ending 31st of December 2021. Would someone please rise and second the motion? Mr. Jumadu, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions before the motion is put to the meeting? None. I now put the motion to the meeting. I hereby direct that the votes be taken by the use of the voting device and invite the registrar to conduct the vote. Thank you.
Have you voted, sir? Okay. Kindly vote if you haven't done so. Okay, on the resolution to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors, we have 100% votes in favor of the resolution. By the registered shareholding, 1,155,692,544 units. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Based on the results presented by the registrar, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. Ladies and gentlemen, the next item on the agenda is to disclose the remuneration of the managers of the company. In accordance with Section 238 and 257 of CAMA 2020, the compensation of the managers of the company is expected to be disclosed to the members at the annual general meeting. The remuneration of the managers of the company is disclosed in the 2020 annual report on page 76, note 26, item B. I am satisfied that the disclosures have been accurately made. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the election of members of the Audit Committee. In accordance with Section 404, subsection 3 of CAMA, members of the Audit Committee are subject to election annually. Section 404, subsection 6 requires that they be formally nominated. Accordingly, 3 valid nominations were received from shareholders on the members to represent them in the Audit Committee. There is a measure of familiarity with them because over the years they have taken a great interest in the affairs of the company. So I'm very pleased to announce that the nominations are Chief Adekunle Odesanya, currently chairman. He was nominated by Mr. Peter Eyanuku. Mr. Peter Eyanuku is nominated by Mr. Orefwa Temitokwe. Thank you. Alhaji Mustafa Jinodu, nominated by Mr. Ibe Victus. Thank you. For the avoidance of doubt, since we have the exact number of nominated shareholders, we shall not need to vote, even though we're now practiced at doing so, and it wouldn't have been a problem. So it's my pleasure to inform you that the Board of Directors has nominated the 2 directors to also represent the board in the audit committee of the company. Dr. Babatunde Ajibade, SAN, and Mr. Olivier Klein are both nominees of the directors to the audit committee. Following from the nominations of both the representatives of shareholders and directors, I now put the motion proper to the meeting. I hereby move that the following shareholders' representatives, Chief Adekunle Odesanya, Mr. Peter Eyanuku, Mr. Alhaji Mustafa Jinodu, as well as the following directors' representatives, Dr. Babatunde Ajibade, SAN, who is online, Mr. Olivier Klein, also online, B, and they are hereby nominated as members of the audit committee. Would someone please rise and second the motion? Thank you very much, Chief Mazi Pamugu. I hope we're not putting you to too great work this morning. Would all those in favor of this motion please signify by raising their admission cards, hands, right hands. Would anyone object to the motion? Please signify by raising his or her admission card, the right hand. Nobody. I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried, 100% record once again. Thank you very much and congratulations to members of our audit committee. The next item on the agenda is to fix the remuneration of the directors. Please be informed that as required by the CAC guidelines, the approval of the Corporate Affairs Commission was obtained for this item, being a special business to be included as part of the agenda for this AGM. In accordance with Article 84 of the Articles of Association of the company, that the remuneration of directors in respect of the year ending 31st December 2020 shall remain as is with no increase. Would someone please rise and second the motion? Thank you, Mazi, for showing confidence in the work that the directors do and feeling that they should continue to remain at the same level. I hope next year you'll be agitating for an increase. Thank you. Will someone please rise and second the motion? Is there any question before the motion is put to the meeting? Thank you. I now put the motion to the meeting. I hereby direct that the votes be taken forthwith by the use of our device, independent auditor asking a scrutineer and registrar to conduct it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Shall we have the... Okay, you may now vote, please. Count is up. Session has ended. On the resolution to fix the remuneration of the directors, we have 100% votes in favor of the resolution, represented in shareholding by 1,155,692,544 units in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, based on the results as verified by the independent auditor, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, fellow shareholders, we have dealt with the formal business of this meeting. I would like to thank you on behalf of the board for your continuing interest in the company's affairs, and that is deeply felt. I look forward to the next annual general meeting, and it is my hope that not only that we will all be present, but that we will have the opportunity to enjoy a greater number of shareholders as participants in the way and manner we have been familiar with. I continue to pray that the company's efforts, as exemplified by its management and all the staff, continue to grow, and that our country will also make it possible for that growth to be worth something for all our families and all our people. On that note, I would like to declare the meeting closed formally, both for those in the room and those online. I look forward to seeing you again. May I ask that we have the national anthem again. Thank you very much, and good afternoon.